Hello and welcome to another Hearts podcast episode. This is season 5, episode 12, dealing with false accusations, and this is the season finale, and we shall begin season 6 shortly after. I have about four different things to talk about and make awareness, as well as one that happened on 2 occasions and one scenario that happened during the events of the accusations. These did happen years ago, so thankfully these people are not in my life anymore, apart from my online friend, but she isn't really a threat anymore. And it's really sad that these things have happened, yes, but I can learn from it as well. And the thing is, it's happened now, it's in the past, and like I said, these people are not a part of my life. Now, I have written at least 9 pages here, almost 10, so it should be a long enough episode for you to enjoy. And then as soon as season 5 starts releasing on YouTube, I will then upload all of those episodes onto the Spotify platform so that the Spotify listeners can enjoy that platform as well. And then, it will be. I have started now to advertise season 6 on Twitch. So it's all nice that we are making progress. And then when we have started season 6, I will have 10 more seasons to follow. And there may not be a 17 and further seasons, depending on how I feel, if there are any things that I need to talk about. But you too, as a listener, can also suggest topics for me. But now that things are going my way at home, at my doctor's, and I am working on a new home for me and Floppers, I can start to think about this episode a bit more clearer. This may not be a long episode, but like I said, I have written almost 10 pages. But you should have a longish episode to enjoy, and you may have seen my previous episodes that there are variable length episodes in the series, in the Hearts podcast series. And many thanks to those who continue to tune in to the podcast, especially as we are about to now start season 6 in June 2026, and I will be amazed to see how many seasons, let alone episodes, we do for the rest of 2026. I believe we may reach the 100th episode, and I will make sure that that is known in the Hearts podcast playlist. The last episode of the year will be Tuesday the 29th of December, since that is the last Tuesday of 2026, and it will start again on Tuesday the 5th of Jan 2027 next year. On the 5th of Jan 2027, we will continue with Season 8, and Episode 10 will be that episode. And even then, we will still have Season 8 to finish, and Season 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And those are still 8 more seasons still to go. But like I said, I'm really proud of how this podcast is going. And just at the moment, I do not know if there will be a season 17 yet, as previously expressed, as I'm just may be out of stories. Unless things happen from now until then, I can't be assured that the podcast will continue. But my listeners are always welcome to give me ideas for episodes as well. For this episode, we won't have a lot of things to discuss. But yes, I have had many false accusations aimed at me, and they do belong in the negative group, as I'm sure you can all imagine. And it only happened 5 times to me, one on 2 occasions, and I think, yes, one of the times it was a negative opinion rather about an issue that was arised, but it is relevant to this episode. I only have 5 things to talk about as it starts, and it starts with my time in Liverpool when I lived there for a year from 2002 to 2003. I don't mind that name being mentioned because I don't live there anymore, and I have no intentions of going back there, not even for a visit. That was when I came to the UK for the first time ever, and I was living with my mother. That was when things were good with my mother. We were only in Liverpool area as that was where my mother got a job for the first time, being in the UK, from what she's told me. I attended one of the primary schools there, but that name won't be mentioned. And unfortunately, I had a very horrific time there, which was just unfortunate. To begin with with this episode, I want to start with that primary school. And when I was at school, especially growing up, I didn't have any friends. That's why after high school, it becomes significantly important to me. It was a regular school day, and I think it was lunchtime, and I was minding my own business when a teacher who I have never seen before because I didn't have him at all during my lessons there, he randomly came up to me. I wasn't really listening to him, and I don't know what gave him the impression that I had done this. My guess is because I was on my own, but he accused me of drowning the plants in the science lab. Without realizing what I was saying yes to, as I was shooing him away, I said yes to his question if it was me, because he asked me if it was me, and then he said to me to not do it again. Eventually, after he had gone, I never saw him again, but I did realize what he had asked me, and then I got so upset and broke into tears. I wanted to run into the classroom I usually studied at during that lunch break, and I did get stopped by one of the students there who was concerned as to why I was upset. I told them what had happened, and then they responded with, "Oh, don't worry about that." I'm sure they meant well with that response, but because I was so upset about the situation, you see, when I do get upset about things, it doesn't work like that. You can't just wave me off and say, "Oh, it doesn't matter," or that's nothing to worry about. It doesn't work like that. Um, but I won't share about my school days I don't really share, sorry, my school days as we students prefer to get on with it and do our legal time we need to do in education. Because I mean, if I did tell my mother, what would she do about it? Not a lot, I don't think. And I personally would hate it if, like most of us, would feel this way if she ended up going to the school to speak to a teacher or head teacher about it, because like many of us, I probably think we would feel embarrassed. So I just kept it to myself. And she had a lot of things on her plate anyway. The next unfortunate situation happens when I got put into care for the first time ever, and this was with C and D, my foster parents, which was a temporary placement that I learned later on. And this was when I came back to the UK to live permanently in 2008 after learning difficulties with my mother, stepfather, and stepbrother, which became difficult for me to live with them. This may be hard for me to talk about, as this was not only when I first started receiving support 24/7, but this is where more false accusations followed. And here it also did repeat, which is why I demanded to have a different place to call home. I personally don't think C especially was very trained in hospitality, and even though it was it was good most of the time, sorry, it got rough when C accused me twice for kicking her dog, and she did not care about my side of the story, which is the first time where I was at, when it was good. Um, I was enjoying myself in the living room of that house. And a lot of people do this, this isn't like an unusual way of behaving. But I was walking backwards, as you would when you get up. And I forgot that the dog was there. And then I sat on the dog by mistake. And of course, and very understandably, the dog yelped and also nipped my face. And I was trying hard not to cry at that moment. And of course, C, my carer, comes rushing in and of course got the wrong end of the stick and assumed I kicked the dog. She then unprofessionally stuck with that and told the rest of her family about it. She was also very condescending and would say things like, "My daughter would not be happy with you," as this I don't know what she was intending here, but for me, I felt like that was some kind of threat. Then it happened again, the false accusation. But on a separate occasion, with C and D, we were having dinner, and then you know how dogs, when you eat, like to look for scraps on the ground in the hopes that you dropped anything? Well, that's what the dog was doing. And to stop the dog from coming near me, I stuck out my leg so that she can go the other direction. And of course, my carer at the time got the wrong idea and said, "Oh my goodness, you did it again." I would more than happily do a lie detector test to any of those events of the false accusations I received and receive to this day, because I can assure you I do not lie about things. Then, when I was living with Jay, which is one of the later carers of my life, the accusation from that time there had repeated itself. I think Jay may have been on holiday and she not long returned. And I spent a lot of time with Charlie, the German Shepherd, which is one of her dogs. He was very sad one day, and Jay noticed. But then she was straight out with the question, "Did something happen?" And I'm sure you can all understand that I got triggered by that question. And I was thinking, oh, of course you would think I did something. You always think we're all the same. Now, in order to understand why my social worker at the time had this response on a different accusation, and this is why I do call it an accusation even still. This was in another 24/7 care home with the carer called S. And S was in a bad mood, I think, and she did not like me because I didn't always follow the rules. But I can explain that because my time at her house was always challenged on a day-to-day basis, which made living there seem like hell in real life, really. And unprofessionally, because you never put your opinion on the people you care for, she would come up to me and say, "I'm sick of you." And of course, me being me, I reported this finally, taking some action to my social worker at the time. And then her response to that was shocking. My social worker turned around and said, "I don't believe you." And I'm like, "What? Are you calling me a liar then?" Because I don't make these things up. That's why, unless I am protecting someone or something, you will get to know my boundaries, which have been put in place since 2022 when I was educated with it. And one of them is honesty is the best policy. I honestly do not think that a lot of those carers were trained or ideal for the jobs that they were doing, and I personally feel a lot of them did those jobs because they wanted the money. And that is a real shame. But I don't know what vibes I am giving off to these people to say those kind of things. Is it possible they're taking their issues out on me? I don't know. But S was definitely not a nice person. And while I got on with one of her daughters, they were very disrespectful to me, my culture, and me being there in general. Apart from the studio flat experience I had with Jay, I don't think I even had my very own key to the properties, so how could I abide by their rules? I didn't want to be there, you know. I was stuck with them as much as they were stuck with me. And wrapping it up now, we have the last and hopefully last ever accusation, most up to date false accusation of where a friend online accused me of talking of her behind her back. I'm still friends with them and we have talked it out. So I'm glad we're able to do that. So she is not on the negative group at the moment, which is good. But the people previously mentioned, they didn't even have the decency like she had to apologize to me. And I don't think the others ever will, and that is why they belong in the negative group. And you will hear me talking about groups frequently, because unfortunately, with my popularity, I've had to put some people in groups, whether it's liked or not. But I do think I am old enough now to know the real story of what's happened behind these false accusations.